It's 10 a.m. right here in Lagos, Nigeria. Good morning and welcome to Business Morning, coming to you live on Channels Television. I'm Ini John Mekwa. Let's start today's show with economic outlook for Africa coming from the African Development Bank, which is meeting in Ghana, Accra, Ghana. And there we have our correspondent who's been joining us and bringing us up to date on activities there. She will join us later today during Business Incorporated. Meanwhile, the AFDB projects a slowdown in Africa's real GDP growth from 6.9% in 2021 to 4.1% this year. This is contained in the bank's 2022 African Economic Outlook Report, which was launched yesterday at that meeting going on in Accra, Ghana. According to the report, the projection is due to the effects and uncertainties of the COVID-19 pandemic and the impact of the Russia-Ukraine conflict. We'll certainly give you more details during Business Incorporated later today when we'll have Teniola Shibowale joining us for that. And expanding trade ties between Ethiopia and Nigeria. Both countries are working to strengthen their relationship. We had the Prime Minister of Ethiopia visited Nigeria. This is how that visit went at Abuja.
Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari once again meets with his counterpart, the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, Mr. Abiy Ahmed, this time at the forecourt of the presidential villa. The two leaders, who had earlier met at the headquarters of the African Union this year, are meeting again for another round of bilateral talks. The Ethiopian Prime Minister, who is on a two-day state visit to Nigeria, inspects the guard of honor in a stately welcome. The significance of this visit, which has not happened in a long time, is represented on paper as President Buhari closely witnesses. President Buhari also hosts the Prime Minister to a presidential lunch attended by the First Lady of Nigeria, Mrs. Aisha Buhari, as well as the First Lady of Ethiopia, Mrs. Zinash Tayachu.
We will continue to engage. Nigerian officials are heading to Addis Ababa in June to discuss various areas of relationship, political, economic, science and technology, mines industries. So it's a very, very useful visit that will help officials of two countries to continue to network our relationship.
The African Continental Free Trade Area is also going to make that even more possible, and so we want to see greater trade.
President Muhammadu Buhari also received PDP presidential aspirant and Governor of Bauchi State, Bala Mohammed, who led a delegation to the presidential villa earlier on a thank-you visit for the inauguration of a 23.5 billion World Bank-assisted water supply scheme in May. In a question and answer session, Governor Bala Mohammed disclosed his thoughts about the non-signing of the 2022 Amended Electoral Act.
To me, I'm a realist. I believe that the Electoral Act is a product of a legislative process, and that has been done, and it was not done earlier, and then we have a timeline and guideline of INEC. So we have to manage it. I think the less the merrier, as somebody who is in the election. When I have less delegates to go and woo, it is better for me than all these 4,000, 5,000 that I will be going to.
The implication of the non-assent is that statutory delegates will not be eligible to vote at primaries to nominate candidates for the 2023 general elections. From the presidential villa, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
Let's delve into the issues of the day now. Oil prices rose today, extending a cautious rally this week on signs of tight supply, while the European Union wrangles with Hungary over plans to ban imports from Russia, which is the world's second largest crude exporter. Brent's crude futures for July settlement gained 40 cents to $114.43 a barrel. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures for July delivery climbed by 55 cents to $110.88 a barrel, a bigger than expected drawdown in U.S. crude inventories in the week to May 20th, following soaring export buoyed the market yesterday. Analysts say that the inventory draw and the prospect of an EU embargo on Russian oil in retaliation for what Moscow has called special military operation in Ukraine were pushing prices even higher. Well, let's start that first conversation into the commodities space with Longida 4 analysts with financial derivatives company joining us for the second time this week. Good morning, Longi. Good to have you.
Good morning. Good to be here as well.
So coming from that oil prices and the happenings there, what's going on with the U.S. reserves inventories? What's going on there?
Yeah, so what's actually happening is U.S. refiners are actually boosting production, and this is in anticipation of an increase in demand. So I believe we're rapidly approaching the U.S. Memorial Day weekend, when a lot of travel usually happens in the U.S., and there are actually projections that this year's Memorial Day weekend will actually be the busiest in the past 2 years. So that's really pushing up.
Why? What's responsible for that?
It's a combination of different things. So work back in restrictions. People are just more willing to go out and see family, more willing to travel and experience things. So that's really what is boosting prospects of an increase in travel over this coming Memorial Day weekend. Yeah,
and that's what they're preparing for. But I do know that the U.S. Reserve was supposed to be, they had that buffer that the president approved, where they had to tap into their reserve when the price was really, really high, even though I don't think it's better now. I think it's about $5 or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
So have they been able to replace from the reserve?
Well, that's actually what's happening. So the reserves are actually currently accreting. So like we said, the refiners are boosting production, and this is really, this is actually partly being siphoned back into the reserves to build up stockpiles again. So we are currently seeing stockpiles rising in the US. So, yeah.
And then European Union still has to convince Hungary on that embargo. How easy, or what can they offer them? I know that other countries are looking at alternative energy, hydrogen. What can they give Hungary to convince them, to agree to this embargo?
Well, so looking at it from Hungary's point of view, and Hungary does actually have a point. So the EU is not at the point where they are fully able to say no to Russian crude, Russian gas, and if they did institute a full-on embargo, this would push oil prices even higher than we are currently seeing, and we know that they are currently at record highs. So that's where Hungary is really coming from. So Hungary's point of view is mostly at the point of, we're not at the point where we can fully impose a full-on embargo on Russia, because this would affect us. Hungary is one of the most dependent nations on Russian oil, along with other nations such as Germany and so on like that. So that's where Hungary is really
But
coming from.
Germany is one of the biggest dependent. I think about 40% of their gas comes from Russia, and they have agreed to this. What's their plan? I do know that they had this emergency plan, a commission that they started, this setup. I think they're on the first stage now or so. But what's actually their plan? Because there was also the analysis that if they cut off from Russian gas, they're likely to go into sharp recession.
Yeah, there is that. But I think what Germany is currently banking on is the flow of gas from the from the west to the east. So typically what has happened over the years is gas has been flowing from east to west, so from Germany to the likes of Britain and so on. But now that the whole situation in Russia is happening, so we're seeing more oil cargoes landing in Britain and then flowing from west to east. But so what this is sort of creating is you have a sort of an oversupply of gas in areas such as Britain, and then an undersupply in key demand areas such as Germany. And to really affect this, or to really have this play out well, you need to build a whole new bunch of infrastructure that would really facilitate the movement of gas or flow of gas from the east to the west, because most of the infrastructure that's currently in place is set up from flowing from west to east. So that is really where things are. So there are plans that, this would possibly boost more investment in terms of the development of infrastructure that might reduce these bottlenecks. But these are all long-term things, nothing really
that can just happen immediately. Well, it looks like the war is long-term. Unfortunately, we do not, I know they are having they say they will restart diplomatic talks, but I don't think they've started it, so that doesn't give us a lot of hope. And this also shines the light on Africa, because I do know that a lot of European countries are looking to, I think Zimbabwe got a visit over the weekend.
Zimbabwe, Angola, so many countries.
Yes.
And I think another thing that is key to mention in the aspect of these demand issues is the fact that winter is coming. We're rapidly approaching winter, and what this will cause is that we will see more Asian countries start to compete for gas and oil cargoes with the EU, and this will push prices up even more.
Yeah, but we still have China and India still doing Russian gas.
Still doing Russian gas, exactly, and they are now getting it at a discounted.
At a very discounted rate.
Yes.
Yeah,
so it's a very mixed bag, to be honest with you. As things are right now.
I know I read somewhere, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago, that the NNPC Limited, is working with another company to bring about some investment into the gas infrastructure of Nigeria. I mean, I do know it's a long-term thing, but at least it will really give a little bit of comfort if at least something is being done. So we know, maybe in a decade, in 5 years, something could happen and we might have revenue from that area.
Yeah, definitely. The prospects of that, I mean, these are things that the NNPC has been looking into for a while now in terms of boosting domestic gas production and so on. And yeah, there has been interest from foreign investors, but then due to all sorts of manners of issues, operational issues, managerial issues, and so on, these projects typically end up breaking down. But then we do hope that as things stand right now, we will see more of these projects start to pop up as interest in African gas and oil picks up, and these projects actually do end up running the gamut.
And that at least Nigeria can even attract some of those investments, since the EU is now ready. Because before now, they were talking about renewable energy. That's why they were not investing so we do hope. Well, in spite or in the midst of all of this, Nigeria's external reserves keeps plunging. It's now at 38.6 billion, about that.
Yeah, I think one of the largest contributors to that is the fact that our oil production is declining. So, of course, oil production is the largest source of export earnings to Nigeria, and it's export earnings that really cause accretion in the external reserves. So, since we're seeing our export earnings decline due to lower oil production, I believe our average oil production in Q1 2022 this year was about 1.49 million barrels compared to about 1.5. The quarter before, and 1.72 a year.
What about the quota? The quota that OPEC has given us, it was raised.
Yeah, exactly. Our OPEC quota has been raised about it's in the high 1.73. 1.73, thereabouts. Yeah. So our quota has been raised, but then we are not currently at the level where we are able to meet this. We're currently producing significantly below.
It doesn't look like there are new actions or actionable plans about dealing with the issue of vandalism and thefts. Maybe we're the ones missing it. I know I know the Navy, they have that responsibility. Yes. The government, they are working on it. We have a lot of insecurity challenges, kidnapping that we're still talking about, but maybe all of this is distracting, from giving attention to the issue of oil theft, because if not, our external revenue will just keep going down. Yeah,
definitely. This is something that more attention, like you said, needs to be devoted to. The government is actually devoting attention. There have been talks of plans of actionable results that will be seen in the coming weeks or so on, but then we're still yet to see anything. But it is obvious that the government is trying to devote more attention to this to really try and shore up the external reserves.
And Naira will keep losing value. 608 Naira at the last check.
Yes, 608 at the last check. It has gone up a bit. And I think part of the reason,
I know they said that's an appreciation, but I mean, it's so hard for me to say Naira has appreciated at 608 for a dollar. It's just difficult for me to say.
I mean, with the recent interest rate hike, that should hopefully contribute to more appreciation in the Naira. I mean, as capital flight reduces, as yields, as interest rates rise and more investors take interest into the Nigerian economy and domestic bonds, that should hopefully cause more appreciation in the Naira.
And more debts for the government.
Not debt for the government, exactly. And then what is also partly causing is, of course, fear and panic, political spending. These are some of the issues that are currently extremely weighing down on the value of the Naira at the moment,
Yeah, so because I've been asking if this hike in the MPR can actually deal with inflation when we know that this is like the peak of political activities and politicians are just throwing money into the economy, from everywhere. You know what I'm saying? From different sectors, from every area, politicians are busy. You're trying to make people happy and stuff like that. So I mean, that's another level of inflation we're talking about.
And it's not just from that angle. It's also from the angle of international prices, international commodity prices are at all-time high. So the inflation we're seeing is mainly cost push. So raising interest rates might not be enough to really curtail inflationary pressure because of high global commodity prices.
What else should be done?
The most surefire way would be to boost domestic production of these commodities, try and boost domestic production of wheat, domestic production of corn, key staple commodities that Nigerians buy and use on a daily basis. This would be the most surefire way to try and calm inflation.
Lonji, let me just ask you, in case I've missed it. So the war has been on for about 3 months now. We've had challenge with grains, especially because Russia and Ukraine give about 30% of the world grain. So supply is very tight now. We've seen inflation, especially food inflation and energy because of Russia's role also going up. Have you heard of, let's stick to agriculture, for instance. I think about 90% of our wheat that we use in Nigeria is imported. Our corn, we've had issues with that even before. Have you heard of plans, maybe some intentional steps, if for now we have to suffer it because this is planting season? Are there intentional steps to say, okay, let's focus on grains. Since we don't know when the war will end, we keep seeing the surge in price of let's focus on grains, maybe corn, just corn, maybe not wheat, because they say some of the quality of what we use, we have to be imported. Maybe just corn. Let's focus on maize and say by the end of the year, by early next year, when it's time to harvest, we're going to have, is there a plan like that?
So I can't speak specifically to grains and corn, but then there are intentional efforts to boost non-oil production, non-oil exports, and in turn, the production of non-oil materials. So we do know of the RTX 200 plan from the CBN. And the CBN has also been instituting a lot of agricultural reforms, giving out loans to farmers, a lot of agricultural programs really aimed at boosting domestic production in Nigeria. The AFDB as well is also really trying to make a considered effort to really prevent the impending food crisis that Africa seems to be drawing closer and closer to every day. So there is a lot of efforts to boost domestic production.
Yeah, we did hear the AFDB say $30 million will be for Nigeria specifically, and we should be expecting things like seedlings. And I do hope actually that the government will cash in on that and be intentional and focus it. Let's do something. We can't go hungry.
Yes, definitely.
All right. So what else is happening in the commodity space, domestic?
One of the major things right now is that India has decided to institute a cap on its sugar exports, and this is really going to affect Nigeria. Nigeria is a heavy importer of sugar. I believe 2021 sugar imports were about 425 billion naira thereabouts. That accounted for about 2% of our import bill. So a cap on sugar exports.
But we do have the sugar master plan.
We do have the sugar.
We shouldn't be importing sugar.
Unfortunately, we still are. And I think what is happening in India is really a trend. So it's really...
because they already did that for wheat also.
They did it for wheat. It's really showing a lot of food protectionism in Asia specifically. Indonesia banned palm oil exports. So it's a really mixed bag.
Yeah, well, you don't blame them. They have to take care of local demands. Thank you so much, Lonji, for your time this morning and this week. Thanks a lot.
Glad to have you here. Yeah.
So we'll take a break now. After the break, have you ever given some thoughts to what Nigeria can do with superfoods? Well, we have, and we'll have that conversation on our next segment after the break. Nigeria Superfoods Potentials is next here on Business Morning on Channels Television. Do join us again. You're welcome back. Well, superfoods are those that are rich in compounds such as antioxidants, fiber, fatty acids, and considered beneficial to a person's health. So foods such as garlic, broccoli, oats, eggs, potato, and a whole lot more. Now, how much production of these superfoods and what potentials are inherent in the packaging and for export? What can Nigeria do with this? We have the Chief Executive Officer of Big Farms Concept, Adebowale Onofowora, joining us now from Abeokuta. Good morning, Adeboale. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
Good morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So Nigeria has been talking a whole lot about diversification, so that we're not so dependent on oil. As we see, we're not even making the most of the potential in the oil and gas area. From your perspective, at least you're into agriculture, how successful are these efforts to diversify the Nigerian economy? How successful has it been so far?
Let me say, well, we are on the right path. I think from some few years back, certain effort has been made. For example, in the area of growing certain crops that we were importing into Nigeria. If you go around all the big grocery shops, certain crops were being imported, and it was because we don't have facility to produce these crops. I think sometimes in 2017, there was a policy that says things like greenhouses should be imported duty free. And that gave room to a big opening in that industry. So some of these crops are now being grown here in Nigeria. And I think it has made a lot of inroad into reducing the forex that were required for such crops. So we are moving gradually, but we are still very slow. Let me give you an example. Certain countries have covered more than 80,000 hectares of land, and Nigeria has not done 500 hectares. And some of these crops cannot be produced if you don't have what we call controlled environment system in place. So, but other than what we used to have, we are moving gradually towards that area. That's what I will say. Good progress. We can do better, but we are moving.
Okay, what about the superfoods that we're talking about? A lot of countries would actually welcome exports of some of these healthy foods, which are called superfoods. Any attention, or is it just the subsistent farming that is happening in those areas?
The truth is, the superfoods are actually a major area we need to think about. In fact, the export opportunity in this field are massive. You see, the fact that we are a tropical country gives a lot of advantage to what is grown here, either controlled or not controlled. The taste of what is grown here gives better chances than what you see out there. The usage of fertilizer in a country like Nigeria is still premiumly low, and that helps the taste, the shelf life of what we produce. But we are not really maximizing it. I can tell you that. We are exporting very little quantity of our herbs, of our superfoods. We are not exporting broccoli. We are not exporting cauliflower. We are not exporting beef tomatoes. We are not exporting black tomatoes. And these are crops that are very rich. We are not exporting stevia. Stevia has 0 calorie when it comes to the calorie involved. And it's 200 times sweeter than sugar. It's a huge opportunity that a country like Nigeria has. We are not exploiting any export opportunity in this area yet. I can tell you that. The funny part also is even the local market for some of these superfoods are not even being scratched as we talk. Yes, they are not being scratched. So it's huge. One of the advantages we've had recently is the fact that sourcing forex for importing some of this food reduced. So most of the off-takers looked inward, and it gave opportunity. But we have not touched the potential that these commodities, and let me say this fruit have. We have not. It's still very massive.
Maybe we have not done that, Adeboale, because people like you have not been talking about it. Maybe people like you have not been promoting it.
Oh, well, you're right. To a certain extent, we've not done enough in the area of promoting it. Actually, people lost faith in agriculture. You know, the picture we painted for agriculture before, it's an industry where dirty people go into. It's not a place where you want to look nice, you want to make money, especially as young people. We are the youngest country in the world today, but a lot of our young people are not in this industry. You can imagine that. And that's one of the reasons why techniques, like hydroponics technology, greenhouse farming, are making inroad into Nigeria. It captivates the attention of the young people. You can grow food faster. You can maximize space, save water. Imagine growing in a controlled environment on 1 hectare of land, what you need 50 hectares to do in the open field. So these are some of the things that are now bringing and drawing back the attention of young people like us, into this field. And that's why I said there's still a lot to be done. In fact, this type of farming is not being promoted by most of the universities. They are just getting to know it's possible in Nigeria. But like I say, it's a work in progress. I believe the future is very bright for this area. A lot of young people are taking attention, or giving attention for this type of farming now. And I see it as a very huge future in Nigeria. Yeah, because the potential is massive. The market is there, both local and export market. And I think with work that people like you guys are doing, the future is bright.
So you keep talking about the controlled environment. I know you're referring partly to the hydroponic farming, but should that be a priority for us? We do have the land, we do have good soil. Because I know that it also has its own requirements, and funding and skills that you need to run hydroponic farming. So should that be a priority, or should we work on what we have and do mechanized farming and get the fertilizer to the farmers and all that? Oh, I think, can you hear me, Adewale?
I'm with you. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Okay, so I was asking, you keep referring to controlled farming, which in part is hydroponic farming. And I'm saying, should that be our priority here in Nigeria? Since we do have the soil, we do have good soil, we should have the fertilizer, So shouldn't we just focus mostly on getting mechanized farming in place, good seedlings, and then... No, because with hydroponic, you also have its own demands, its own funding that is required.
Okay, I think we need to look at the root cause of our problem. And the root cause basically is the food production system. That's the biggest challenge. We wait for rainfall, before we go to produce. And you can't be sustainable. Listen to this. Hunger is not seasonal. Why should food production be seasonal? So depending solely on the soil means a lot of people wait for rainfall. Now, practices like hydroponics is not the only thing that we can do. What about irrigation, drip irrigation? You save on water and you produce better. The fact is, if agriculture is not made attractive, a lot of our young people will not be involved. Imagine the average age of farmer in Nigeria is 60. And the average age of a Nigerian is below 30. So who are the people that should be producing food? Young people want agriculture to be attractive. So you can't take that away from them. And that's one of the reasons why we have depended so much on importing. Where we are importing from, where or how are these food being produced? It's not only hydroponics, yes. But the production system is different. You have drip irrigation system. You have certain equipment that makes work easier. You'll be shocked that an average young Nigeria, those that are not even educated, go into the farming community, the farm, to look for money to buy bike. The next thing, they move into the city. One of the things contributing to what you see in our cities is because young people are moving into the urban area, at an alarming rate. So we need to make agriculture actually attractive if we want to retain our young people. And that's the only way we can have more creative hands in the food production system. Yes, we have the soil. We just need to do some little things to touch our soil and then make them more better productive. But also in the area of the nutrients that we are using on our soil, we are not using the right ones. Let me tell you this. There's something called the law of minimum. The micronutrients are what we are lacking in our soil. But we are feeding our soil with urea, with NPK. They don't majorly contribute to yield. You see, what affects food yield is not the unavailability of the macronutrient. It's the unavailability of what we call the micronutrient. And this is the type of fertilizer we are not putting in our soil. They are putting urea, nitrogen, NPK and all that. They are okay, but they are not what determine yield. How can we be harvesting 4 tons of tomato per hectare in Nigeria when you are doing 70 tons in outside, in some other clients? That's not acceptable. What percentage of that? And out of this 4 tons, less than half even get to fork. You understand what I'm saying? So even on our soil, we are not doing the right thing, which I think the production system needs to be revamped. We need a lot of education. We need to do the right thing to get even our soil going. But we are not doing that. So that's where the issues are.
All right, that's one issue. And then,
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, the other issue you talk about is making it attractive to the young people. Now, would that mean having the mechanized farming, or is it about taking it to schools, or what do you think can hasten that? Or, maybe there's the need for the already market so that the young people know that money, because a lot of young people now are not very patient.
Both measures are needed. You see, it's not about money. Let me shock you. A kg of bell pepper, that's a sweet pepper. Currently, the green one is 1,005. The colored ones are 1,800. On a 240 square meter, that's half a plot of land. You can produce about 3 tons of that. 3,000 kg times 1.5 million. Do you know how much that is? But you need technology to get that done. So it's not about producing, in large, using a large space, and then you are not producing what actually has value. High value crops attracts young people more because, they get to make the money. I tell people, who says you can't grow money on the tree? Every bell pepper, every beef tomato on my tree is money. And that attracts a lot of young people. So let's take that technology to our schools. You get what I'm saying? Many schools now don't have enough space for even farming. And farm-based education has a way of helping the mind of young people. Do you know how interesting it will be to put a seed in the soil and you see it grow? You see it start fruiting, you now take it to the market. You'll be shocked that, wow, I planted something and it has brought a lot of returns to me. So we need that in our schools. Currently, 98% of graduates of agronomy in Nigeria cannot manage a farm effectively because they don't have what it takes. Many of them now have to go for further training. So I think we need to encourage that. And it should start from the schools. No other industry or no other places can solve that result, can solve that problem for us, if not our schools. So we need to do that. And then other than that, we also need support. There's something they do in China, it's called subsidy for farmers in the area of technology. Why can't we have subsidy for farmers? Why can't we have greenhouses built and then young people have 5 years to pay back? They own it. They pay rent to own instead of you just renting. You understand? So you have 5 years to pay back on your greenhouse. Of course, you'll be happy that in 5 years' time it will become yours. You are not renting it. You understand what I'm saying? It's not cheap to assess some of these things. But these tools are needed to solve food production system. There is no country that is food sustainable that is not using technology, even mechanized ones. There are certain tractors that can make ridges for you. What would take one person 2 weeks to do, a certain tractor can do in 2 hours. So how can we be as effective as a country using that? So we just can't, shy away from these things. We need them, and that's the truth.
Yeah, thank you so much, Adibowale Onofowora. As they always say in Nigeria, we're not bereft of ideas. We do have ideas. It's when it comes to implementation. These conversations we've had, many, many times. So we do hope we will see the implementation. If not from the public sector, let's have it from the private sector. At least let's get the country moving. Thank you so much, Chief Executive Officer.
Yeah, the private are doing their part. Thank you. Yeah.
Please do more. The Chief Executive Officer of Big Farms Concept, thank you so much for sharing your time and your ideas with us. We do wish you the best and hope to see those superfoods being exported out of the country and bringing revenue to the country in a short time.
We'll do that. Thank you. Thank you.
Now let's do an opening call to the market. We have Aniti Edit. Hi, Aniti.
Hi, good morning, Ini. Well, let's just say it's good news back again, but I don't know how long that good news would be. And the good news is that market has returned back to positive territory. As you can see on the board here, we gained 1.24%, which translates to about more than 345 billion naira rebound in value against the 519 billion naira that was lost on Tuesday's trading session. So, but don't be deceived. This green figure, this green color that you're seeing here, came largely on the back of Airtel Africa. You know, it gained about 9.39% or 138 naira in value. So this is how it turned out at the close of trading session on Wednesday. But look at the sectoral board. It's still the same thing like what we saw on Tuesday. It was red across board here, much profit taking. We had about 41 losers against 11 gainers. And that shows you that investors are still taking much profit at the same time, which comes a few days after the CBN announced a hike in MPR rate. So at some point, that is having an effect, and at the same time, investors are still taking profits. But when you look at the month-to-date performance, it returned to positive territory. It's still positive, but it returned back to the 6%, which it lost previously. It went down to about 4%, but has now gained back, went back up to about 6.0%, while year-to-date we're at 23.1%. Now, for the activity chart, it is still in the red. Well, it's in the red. It was positive on Tuesday, but at the close of midweek trading session, the total value, the total number of trades carried out was 46.9%. So now let's talk to a stockbroker at Valmo Securities, Tajuddin Olaika. So can you give us some more insight into what happened, especially when you see that Airtel Africa, a previous day, it was largely on the back of MTN Nigeria, a telco giant that led the markets to plunge, if you will call that. But at the same time, the saving grace came for the market on the back of one telco giant. So what spurred investors' interest for Airtel in Wednesday's trading session?
Okay, I think the best way to understand what happened yesterday and the state of the market today is to look back to, just like you rightly mentioned, look back to what happened on the 24th of May when announcement by MPC was made. When the MPR announcement was made, you see clearly that prior to that announcement, index was profit taking was on, but index was just slightly down. It wasn't quite the downward pressure wasn't quite significant, even though investors were already booking profit ahead of what they thought the new MPR would be. And so by the time announcement was made, index went down to as low as 51,949. That's 1.82% decline. So the reaction actually came from that MPR. And then what happened yesterday was also because if you look at the breadth, because the best way to understand is not to be distracted by extreme value, the weight of the Airtel. But what happened yesterday was the index went up, but the breadth of the market went below what it was on the day of the announcement of the MPR, which means that even though Airtel lifted the market by virtue of its weight and by the virtue of the fact that it gained significantly, the index, the market performance indicated that the investors were still taking profit, repricing those securities in line with what they think the new market dictate would be, especially what the new interest rate would be. So, market is still adjusting. Investors are still adjusting to the new mood of interest rate. So clearly, what to say is that the breadth of the market yesterday was, in fact, the breadth yesterday was 11 by 41. That is 11 gainers to 41 losers. The breadth on the day of the announcement was 18 by 41. So we still have the same number of losers on those 2 days. And so it means that investors were in the mood of repricing, even though Airtel lifted the market. Airtel was just an exceptional performance in that market, and we do not use that one to describe what exactly happened in the market, but without looking at the breadth of the market. So the breadth of the market shows that investors were still repricing those securities in line with the new interest rate.
Okay, so thank you for that update. Of course, we will be tracking how the market is going on in the early hours of Thursday. So, Ini, that's it for the equities markets. The equities markets at the moment, we hope that it's trading in positive territory. Maybe it has reverted.
Yeah, Anita, one of the things that just jump out at me when we look at the market, the equities, is we're talking of diversifying the Nigerian economy. I think that market also need diversification because you have just a handful of corporates controlling the market. So you have one, Airtel, MTN, go up or down and the market goes that way. But I guess if you had an even spread or you have more big corporates there, then the markets will have a better balance. I don't know.
If you ask me, I think it's because, well, the stocks that you call stocks worth over $1 trillion. So that's what happens when, if they happen to gain or lose, vice versa, the impact is always very much felt across the market. Take, for instance, what we had in Tuesday's trading session. We had all the big boys. They were in the red, and that's why the market lost. But I think we just continue to watch how the market plays out.
Yeah, obviously,
each day.
we'll have to do that. Thank you so much, Anita. But do hold on. I think you do have the fixed income markets to analyze. We'll just take a short break now. When we come back, we'll still stay with the market and get updates from Anita. That's just in less than a minute. This is Business Morning on Channels Television. Welcome back. You're still watching Business Morning on Channels Television. We'll head back now to the market. Fixed income this time and see how that market fared yesterday. Hi, Anita, once again.
Yes, Ini, let me say welcome back. So, well, the board that you see here is just for the bonds markets, and then for the bonds markets, speaking about it, average yield there paired by 1 basis point to about 11%. But on the board, what we have here, the number of deals, it wasn't much that was carried out there. The total number of deals was 13, and that was mostly concentrated on the 23rd of March paper 2025, which had 11 deals worth about 7.2 billion naira. And then it was seconded by these two, the 22nd of January 2026 and the 27th of April 2032. They had a number of deals carried out respectively. Now, for the Treasury bills market, there was nothing there. Average yield still remains unchanged there. For the central bank special bills, what we had, the most concentration was on the 3rd of October 2022. It had 2 deals, while the 11th of August 2022 had 1 deal. Total there carried out was 3, worth about 5 billion. Now, it's interesting to note that yesterday, the debt markets, the DMO, the debt market, the DMO conducted a primary market auction on the 91-day, the 180-day, and the 364-day bond, where it offered about over 153 billion worth of instruments across board to investors, but sold much more than that. It sold about 173.48 billion worth of instruments there, which, well, like I said, it's much more than the offer. And this comes because investors increased the offer on the bond maturities upwards due to the hike in MPR rate announced by the Central Bank's Monetary Policy Committee on Tuesday at the close of their meeting. So that, of course, had an impact. Of course, it's driving the yields higher. And, of course, the investors there are trying to, make the best of that announcement, that increase to increase on their investment. So that's it for that market. But we will be looking out for how the market turns out at the close of today's trading session across all the markets, equities, fixed income, as well as the unlisted securities market. So, Ini, that's it for the markets.
Yes, Anita, thank you so much. I know, talking about the yields, with the MPR at 13% now, we do hope more investors will get into that market, even though that might be to the detriment of the equities markets. But I mean, an investor is there to make the most of opportunities. We'll look out for that. Thank you so much, Anita. Well, we do not have our correspondent in London, but we do have some stories on what's going on there, starting from the UK's Chancellor of the Exchequer, Rishi Sunak. He's set to announce measures to ease the pain of rising household bills. It's expected that the Chancellor would use his announcement to scrap the requirement to repay a previously announced £200 discount on energy bills for all households, or that he could increase the level of the grant. Extra measures are also expected to target poorest households in the cost of living crisis, as rampant inflation pushes up the price of everything from food to fuel. Well, Sunak is expected to announce an increase in the warm home discount scheme, which is worth £150 to 3 million low-income households. These grants could rise to as much as £500. The government could also bring forward a planned increase in benefits that had been expected next year, or offer a council tax rebate. We're expecting this announcement later on today, and we do hope that during Business Incorporated it would have been announced. We will give you the details of it. So join us. That's another reason to join us at 1:30 for Business Incorporated. For now, let's head to the crypto market now. Ladi is standing by to tell us if the sentiments are better today with Bitcoin and the stable coins that are not stable anymore.
Yeah, some of those unstable coins. And the funny part is USD, which was that stable coin that actually lost the peg to the dollar, is actually rising this morning to tell you how volatile this market is.
These are rare times.
Rare, very rare. And we see it's still extreme fear, and the market is still quite boring in this market. This market is used to, extreme profit and gains daily. But now we're seeing the bear market hold tight at this point. $1.25 trillion as the market cap, plus Bitcoin and the altcoins down 1.61%. Volume traded $70.74 billion. And we see Bitcoin dominance still inching up from last time at 45.11%. Price of Bitcoin, $29,618. Getting close to that major support of $29,500. It's down 0.52%. And we see volatility still with Bitcoin and the altcoins. Volume traded $27.27 billion. And we see Ethereum below that $2,000 mark right now. All right, let's bring in Bjorn Martins now, CEO, Passive Income Token. Hello, Bjorn. Great to have you.
Good morning, Ladi. Great to be here.
Morning.
As always.
Yeah, so I remember the beginning of this year, NFTs were hot, non-fungible tokens. And I'm wondering, with a bear market, is it still hot in that market right now?
Yeah, we're of course in the bear market at the moment, and to be surprised, we have seen new records in the NFT sales on OpenSea, on the new chains, Solana, Matic. They're seeing spikes in the NFT sales lately, and yeah, a lot of new things are popping up and really, making a lot of people profits. I can say we have seen a decline lately in the NFT sales, but this really got recovered really fast, and at the moment we're seeing new highs every day again in new all-time highs for certain NFTs. I think people are trying to find something new, and the tokens they're used to, and then now we're looking into the NFTs more.
Yeah, it was quite interesting because NFTs were hot when, Bitcoin was, in a bull market, and we saw a lot of record sales for, some of these JPEGs with the Bored Apes and all of that. What's the new trend looking at NFTs in that space? What's the new trend right now?
At the moment, there are two trends going on, in my opinion, and this is our gated communities. One, where a community is very limited, exclusive, and you can only have access to these communities with a certain NFT. You need to prove that you hold this NFT, and only then you can get all the access, services, and products the NFT project provides to the community. The second one is that people are talking about a Solana summer. I'm not sure about this yet. We have seen amazing increase in NFT sales on the Solana chain. So I'm curious if it's really going to be a battle between Ethereum and Solana in this summer.
Right, quite a battle between Solana and Ethereum blockchain. We know Solana is quite, cheap for minting most of these NFT tokens. But thank you so much, Bjorn. Always great to talk to you. We'll see if NFTs can survive this bear market.
So let's see. Have a good day. Thank you.
Have a good day. Bye-bye. All right, now look at the top alts by market cap. It's mostly red on that counter. We see BNB there, $319. It's down 3%. eCash down also 3.74%. And we see XRP there, still stable, 40 cents. It's trading about 80 cents a couple of months ago. And that's the stable coin there that's been causing all the commotion in the market. That's UST for the Luna blockchain. It's trading at 9 cents. It's up 42% from a low of about 5 cents today. And we see Sandbox there, $1.41, up 9%. Ini, quite interesting seeing UST. That's the stable coin causing all the commotion on the top gainers list, up 42% this morning.
I tell you, these are really rare times. I mean, stable coins used to be where you run to and you're sure, I mean, you're just certain that you're going to be at a level, but, well.
It's quite interesting, but the traditional stable coins are still doing well, like USDT. Those ones are pegged to, real assets. But this was an experiment gone wrong.
All right, Ladi, thank you so much for giving us that update from the market. And that's where we say thank you so much, our viewers, for being a part of this Thursday edition of Business Morning. One more to go. Thank God it's Friday. In just about 24 hours. Join us then. But 1:30, Business Incorporated will be here. We'll have updates from the world of business. I'm Ini John Mekwa. Enjoy the rest of your day.